And so I'm going to take a soil. This is actually the one I use the most. It's the one I find to be reliably well draining. It's called Long Island topsoil. I know Belmead Co-op sells it. Maybe other places sell it. Hopefully they will, or an equivalent. And the interesting thing about this soil is it definitely has sand in it. And we all know that sand is a well-draining medium for soil. So that's why I really like to use it. So basically what I'll do is, so again, we pretended I dug out from the ground, dumped it out there, so that this sits in a little lower than the ground. And then we're gonna put some of this in. So this will basically act like a platform. You can think of this as what we're doing as a platform to establish against the clay. So the roots of these plants that like well-draining soil are not sitting right up against clay, which is not really not what you want. So we start by digging a little deeper. We put this platform of well-draining soil. And now another thing about milkweeds, I want to caution everybody: you want to be very careful taking it out of the container. Because it has what's called a taproot, so that taproot basically drills down into the ground just like a drill tap, and it helps the plant survive during drought. And if that taproot is damaged during planting, you can damage or even kill the plant. So what we do is we just take it out of the container, and unlike most other plants where a lot of times we would loosen these roots up, just leave it as is for milkweed. It's one of the few plants where it's really best not to mess with the roots at all when you take it out. And then we would just plant it. I'm actually going to raise the soil just a little bit here because I want to demonstrate something else about these plants that like well-draining soil. So when you build that platform I mentioned, we want to try to build that platform so that now we can see that this top is going to be above the grade, which is what we want. Even a few inches above the grade is actually preferred, because then we can be pretty much guaranteed that it's going to be well draining around the plant, which it requires. And so here we can see now I'm building basically a nice mound right in the center there. Now you see how we can see how it's above the grade of the ground. Now we can really, combined with this soil amendment, we can guarantee that this plant is going to have nice, well-draining soil for its roots, which is deep. Now, of course, I would fill in the rest of this. I won't do it right now, but I would fill in the rest of this so that the soil, you don't want to come down at a right angle. Your soil, you want to just gently slope it down so it doesn't erode, and cover up all the roots to the top of the root ball there. And so that's our orange butterfly milkweed demo. I'm going to demonstrate another plant that really absolutely requires well-draining soil, and it loves well-draining soil. In fact, it totally tolerates drought once it's established. I have about 10 of these in my backyard, because this happens to be my #1 pollinator attractor. This is called Blue Fortune Hyssop. It's absolutely unbelievable how attractive it is to all kinds of pollinators, butterflies, bees, you name it. They love it. And this plant is totally awesome for so many reasons. It blooms from July through October, 4 months, no deadheading. You don't have to cut off the flowers. The flowers just stay in bloom for 4 months. Deer will not touch it. Again, of the 10 I have in my backyard, the ones that were already established, I didn't water 1 drop of water last summer with that terrible drought, and it still doubled in size.
Wow.
And Jim, what's the variety name that you just
Okay, so it's the cultivar is called Blue Fortune. The plant is a hyssop. H-Y-S-S-O-P.
Oh, it's on the.
Yeah, that's right. It is on the back. It's on the back of the sheet. Really, so if you plant only one thing to feed the butterflies with nectar and attract them and all other kind of pollinators, this would totally be my #1 recommendation.
And that one needs sun, Jim, too?
Oh yeah, sunny and well draining. And so, in fact, why I'm planting it next and not the swamp milkweed is because the soil we have here is nice well draining. Now this is a considerably bigger plant, and I'm also going to demonstrate that in most cases, except for milkweed, maybe a few other species, but definitely milkweed, where you don't want to loosen the root, everything else you do. So this is a strong grower, so what happens is the roots get bound up inside the container, and that's not really good for its long-term health. So to make sure it gets a really great start, what we want to do is loosen those roots up, especially right in the center there. Kind of push them off to the side. You can also use your hands if it's not too root bound. Some are so root bound that you really do need a tool like this, but this isn't too bad. And what I'll do is I'll even break up some of the roots along the sides here so that they stretch outward instead of trying to stay all dense as they are in the pot. And so now, since this is a considerably bigger plant, I need to dig down a little bit into our well-draining soil dirt. And remember, for these well drainers, we want that platform, and also we want the plant to be above grade. So here we go. At least it's above grade by that, or you can even go up to several inches. It's no problem at all, as long as the roots are covered along the side and you slope gently enough so that the soil doesn't erode. For today is our swamp milkweed, and if you remember, I said that this requires reasonably consistently moist soil, especially until it establishes. Once its taproot gets really deep, it can handle much more dry conditions, but that can take several years. So to make sure it gets started on the right foot, I use a bumper crop organic soil builder, a very popular product. Rutgers Nursery recommends this in fact, they only guarantee their plants, they're the trees if you plant them with this. So that tells you how good this is. This is an outstanding product I've been using for several years. Really, any plant that likes to retain moisture on its roots, which is a good percentage of plants, I always use this for all of them. The only ones I don't are the ones that like very well-drained soil, because this retains too much moisture. So because our swamp milkweed likes moisture, and actually it's a species that actually can even grow in clay, full clay actually, but it's not really the best for it. We wouldn't have to remove so we would dig our hole, put aside some of that soil, and we basically make a 50-50 mix with our existing soil. I'll just do this real quick, just to give you an idea. So basically this would have been dug out to here, put it in a bucket, throw it, if you look at your bucket level, throw in the equivalent level of this, just give it a good mixing with whatever you got, shovel or whatever. And then, so then you got a good 50-50 mix. The clay, one good thing about the clay is it does hold moisture real well, in which in plants like this that want some moisture, especially swamp milkweed, because it can actually grow in full clay. Would leave our existing soil, just make a 50-50 mix, and we put it in, basically in this case, because it wants moisture, we don't want to go above grade on its root base. Actually, I don't want to take it out because it's so full grown. I don't want to break its stem when I do it until I actually plant the plant. So basically, you would want it basically it's top of the root at the grade, or even a little below grade of the ground. It would be what you want, because you want that moisture to flow into the plant, not away from it. So basically, that's it for the demos.